almost didn't make it through the first night. He was born not breathing, and that was a incredible shock right off the bat. You know, babies are born, you hear the cry, you know that that's the next steps, and Zayne was born in just silence and nothing. They thought we'd be there for a couple months, and we were there less than like 5 days. So it's like even at birth, he was already starting to beat the odds of life. Like there's just this drive in him.
We have 3 boys, and Zayne is the youngest. And Zayne is a goal setter. From the time he was little, it was, I want to ride a bike, I want to, you know, play sports, I want to, you know, do good in school. His
other brothers just always enjoyed playing with him and wrestling with him. They grew up very, very close to each other. The 3 of them enjoyed being like best friends, and you know, Zayne just completed that.
He was diagnosed April 25th of 2016. A couple months before Zayne's diagnosis, he had been injured at school, just on the playground, hit his head really bad.
And then Zayne kept saying, I keep seeing double vision. That was the thing that we heard him saying. The TV's got double vision. We'd go out to dinner or whatever, like, I'm seeing double.
And so we were like, this isn't right. And we, you know, took him to the doctor. They're like, you know, you need to take him to the eye doctor. And I don't really like the way his eyes are dilating.
So my wife called, that was on a Friday. They couldn't get in on Friday, but they said come in on Monday. So Monday, she took him from school, went to the eye doctor. And he dilated Zayne, and he basically said, you need to go straight to the ER. And my wife was like, okay. And he said, you need to go.
I get into the ER, and the boys meet us there, Chaz meets us there, and you know, the doctor didn't even want to scan him because they don't just do CT scans on kids for no reason. I got the eye doctor on the phone, and they talked, the 2 doctors. And later I found out that the eye doctor was like, don't let him leave unless you do a scan.
I remember our doctor at the ER, she came in and she said, can you come talk to me?
And as we left, I kept thinking, the mom in me kept thinking, I'm leaving my 3 boys in a room by themselves. And they're not stupid. They had to know that this was not normal.
She basically told us that they could see about a golf ball sized tumor on the back of Zayne's brain. You know, your first thing is just shock. You just think, no, you must have missed something. It's, you know, maybe he moved, maybe you just didn't read it right. Hearing that my baby has cancer. I'm like, how do you process this? How do you take this in?
They put all 5 of us in a room that night, and we all just piled in a couple beds and just tried to sleep. Tried not to let them see us cry. Tried to comfort them when they were crying. But it was just devastating. You know, it was devastating. How do you look at your 12-year-old son who enters into the hospital basically healthy, and now he's going into brain surgery? How do you help him understand that?
We learned that he would be doing 30 rounds of proton therapy, and that's every day, and it's about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. I would go into the dressing room to change, get him ready because he had to be in a gown, and he was kind of stalling, and I said, are you okay? And he's like, I don't want to do it, Dad. And I remember thinking, I don't want you to have to do it, but we have to get through this. And he just said, okay, I mean, if this is what I have to do, it's what I have to do, which has been his motto through all of this. It's just every time something comes up, he's just like, okay, if this is what I have to do, that's what I have to do. And so he went out there and, you know, he got on that table every day for 6 weeks.
You know, being a mom, you definitely are so thankful that the doctor's not saying to you that there's no more options, right? But the options that were given to Zayne are just, they're not good, you know? They're not good. He didn't want to eat, didn't want to drink, threw up constantly. He had lost so much weight. At one point, I think he was like 55 pounds.
The hospital had told us that you could qualify for Make-A-Wish, and we hadn't even thought of it, honestly. I didn't know a lot about Make-A-Wish at the time. I knew they granted kids wishes, and I didn't know how that worked. And they said, no, he actually would qualify for that.
When I heard about Make-A-Wish, oh man, when they told me I could have a wish, I kind of didn't believe it at first, but then it was kind of crazy to me that like, oh man, I could have anything I wanted in the world. So I wish to go to Maui, Hawaii.
He had to go through 8 different therapies a week. He was exhausted. But no matter what, Zayne would mention Hawaii the whole time. He would mention, gosh, I gotta keep on going because Hawaii's getting closer and I wanna be able to go on the zip line.
Kind of empowered me to work my best and do my best. It gives you a motivation to do more, and at the end of this darkness, there's a light shining on you.
When Make-A-Wish sent us to Hawaii, they did not skimp on anything. We go get our rental car, and we're just driving around and we're like, we're in Hawaii. Like, we are freaking out that we're here. I remember when we got to the hotel, one of the guys who was the managers came out and gave Zayne they called it the warrior crown. And, they said, you're a warrior. You fought to get here, and we want to honor that. And I remember it was just so special. It was just such a little thing.
We love just being in Hawaii and just being a family again and just doing normal things that we did prior to diagnosis. It was probably like the 3rd or 4th night there. I remember vividly Zayne, I asked him, I was like, so, what's your favorite thing? What are you enjoying so much, about Hawaii? What's your favorite thing about Hawaii? And he said, I'm just loving being normal. Being normal. Not having to worry about when his next doctor's appointment is. Not having to worry about what bad news is going to come next. Not having to worry about the what ifs. But he said for the first time in the 2 years of this journey, he was able to just be a kid. And I think that that's the biggest thing that Hawaii gave to him, that Make-A-Wish gave to him, was something to help him remember that he is just that he's a kid, and that he just needs to be happy and love life. And it's because of all the donors and how much people have given that my family was able to go on a trip of a lifetime. Are you kidding me? We are forever indebted to this organization. Forever. That is a gift you can't ever repay.